4 p.m. Tuesday, October 22nd. Would you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. We have a pretty light agenda this evening. Use the microphone. We will go through a few minutes from the special meeting of September 17th, the regular meeting of the 24th, forgot my eyeglasses, and the special meeting from October 1st. Then we will do community relations, announcements, and open forum. We have no appointments or resignations. We have 3 scheduled appointments, a 6:45 senior tax work-off program, 7 p.m. public hearing for Treehouse Brewing, 7:15 Chapter 61 release, 4 items under new business, winter wash sand bid, disclosure by municipal employee, meals tax and food trucks, and a special alcoholic beverage license, and 1 item under old business, which is trick or treat. Do we have executive session?
Yes. Yes, we
do. And then we will be entering into executive session, and we will come out of executive session to take care of any business that may be required from that executive session and to adjourn. So the first item then would be,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of September 17, 2019.
Second.
okay. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 24th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of October 1st.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. There you go. Okay, we have a few announcements to make this evening. Rabies and Microchip Clinic, Saturday, November 2nd, 2019, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Charlton Municipal Animal Shelter at 10 Old Town Road, sponsored by Friends of Charlton Animal Shelter, with Second Chance Animal Services. Rabies vaccinations will be $5 each, distemper $5 each, and microchips $20 each. Cash only, no checks or credit cards are accepted. Cats must be in carriers and dogs must be on a leash. Please bring previous rabies certificate to determine if you're eligible for a 3-year rabies vaccination. Any questions, please reach out to FOCAS at info@focus, which is FOCAS, charlton.org. Trick or treat will be held October 31st, 2019, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. There was a caveat out there and on the web, waiting to hear back from the Board of Health, but they have cleared it, so Halloween trick-or-treating will go on as planned.
Can we talk about that later?
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure. There is, and I was going to bring this up. Thank you. There's actually 3 now. So there is a box in Town Hall for donations of toys and crafts for the holidays for the children of UMass Medical's Child Life Services, which is a level 1 pediatric trauma unit. Any items with hair or fur cannot be donated. So there is a box at Town Hall, there is a box at the police department, and there is also now a box at the fire department.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Sunday, October 27th, Shepherd Hill Music Parents are hosting their annual mattress fundraiser from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the Shepherd Hill Gymnasium. And November 6th is the first ever Disney Singing Spaghetti Dinner from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. to support the Connie Vinco Galley Scholarship Fund for Music Education at Shepherd Hill also.
Thank you, Anya. And there's one other one from the collector's office. A reminder that taxes are due by November 1st in accordance with Mass General laws. That date is a Friday, and the town hall will be closed. So if you pay in person, please make sure your payment is in by 5 p.m. on Thursday, October 31st. Online payments through UniPay will be accepted until midnight on November 1st. Is there anyone here for open forum?
How we doing tonight? Clay Harris, taking over for Chief Purvey as long-term holiday. Closer.
Thank you.
Filling in here because Chief Purvey is no longer doing the holiday lights and tree lighting. So we're looking to do December 1st for the common tree lighting and the Festival of Lights Parade. About 5 o'clock, we'll start the music on the common, and the 6 o'clock parade coming from CVS up to the common, with Santa Claus arriving and the tree lighting and all that at the conclusion of the parade.
I think that's
Excellent.
awesome, and thank you for
Thank you
picking
very
that up.
That still works.
I don't know if we need a motion on that, but if so, so moved.
I think it's more of
I don't know,
a,
this is all new to me,
Yeah.
so I'm coming up here and
I think
doing
it's more of
it.
a
I think
thank
it's
you.
great, so thank you. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a thank you.
Yeah.
That's fine, as long as whatever we need to do to make it work.
You guys are good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's anything that we can do,
Okay,
you will let us know, please.
sounds good.
Including
Thank
stay
you.
out of your way, because that usually is a problem.
That usually helps a lot.
Board of Selectmen, it depends, sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad at them.
Thanks, bud.
Is there anyone else here for open forum? All right. Hearing none, we will go on to our, no, we don't have any appointments, do we? Or resignations?
Thank goodness.
So 6:45, we're a little early. Senior Tax Work-Off Program. We ready to do that one? I think we are.
Sure.
All right. So this is how we usually do it now, for the moment. First item, 6:45 PM, Senior Tax Work-Off Program, suggested changes. Mr. or Mrs. Town Administrator? Oh, we don't have one yet. So,
It's gonna be one of those nights.
it's been one of those nights.
Do you
Been a
need
lot-
someone to read the memo, David?
It's been a long day. So, attached is a request, yes, right, for suggested changes to the Senior Tax Work-Off Program and policy. This was reviewed by Council on Aging, Finance Director, Treasurer Collector, Assessors, and Human Resources. Proposed changes increase the abatement amount from $500 to $1,500. In 2020, minimum wage will be $12.75 based on 20 participants. $1,500 is $30,000 at 118 hours. Each year, as the state minimum wage increases, the hours of the tax work-off program decreases. The max abatement has been $500 since its inception in 2001. The hours have decreased from 74 to 45 and will be decreased from 239 in 2020 if we don't increase the abatement. Increase the income guidelines to reflect the yearly low-income guidelines used by HUD, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, see policy guidelines. Delete asset requirements, senior tax work-off job fair, COA, human resources, treasurer, finance, assessors, and other departments. Offer job descriptions, assist with paperwork, and information for possible applicants. Council on Aging will be here to answer any questions the board may have. It is recommended that the board approve the changes to the senior tax work-off program policy. And that should go like this. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. And I did that all blurry. Okay. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Elaine Mataris, I'm the Council on Aging Director.
Donna Folio, Finance Director.
So if I can give just a little background on
Yeah,
this
please.
and how we came to the, back in May, I think it was, we met the Finance Director, Treasurer, Collector, Assessor, Human Resources, and actually the former Outreach Coordinator, because she's the one that is running the program. She's retired now, so we have a new Outreach Coordinator who will also be running the program along with me. But we actually met because there were questions on whose job, which paperwork was belonging to which department because of all the new personnel, because we had a new human resource department. We had a treasurer collector put together, and it used to be different departments doing different paperwork. So we wanted to get together and figure out who's supposed to be doing what, so we'd have an idea of that, and it can be more streamlined for us, and everyone knew what each other was doing. So in meeting with that, we talked about all of this and how it hasn't changed since 2001, and how the hours are going to keep decreasing as the minimum wage goes up. So that's how this came about. So we are asking for these changes here, which would change then the policy that we have in place. It would reflect the changes in the policy, and adding in, like, the finance director, human resources, because we didn't have that previously in the policy.
Okay, so the suggested changes and the amounts.
I'm sorry?
The changes, so basically the guideline and policy changes and the amounts.
Correct.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Through the chair.
Ms. Noble?
On average, how many individuals participated in this last year and the year before, give or take?
It's supposed to be 20 participants, that's the max that we can
Okay.
have, but we've only had about 17,
Okay, so we have room for growth.
yes.
Okay, and have you had difficulty getting participants?
We have, because the guidelines have not gone up in quite a while. The income guidelines have not gone up.
Okay.
So a lot of the other towns have actually more people participating. They have upwards of 40 to 60
Right.
participating. So one of the things that we did was look at our surrounding towns and see what they were doing. And first, foremost, it came out as $500 when you're using the new minimum wage rates.
Right.
Doesn't give you very many hours, and now we're facing it being like 39 hours. To get departments to invest in having someone come in and train them for 39 hours is all they can have for the year.
Yeah,
A lot of the departments don't want to participate.
right, that's just 1 week out of the year, so.
Right. So, well, we kind of talked about revamping it, and what some of the other towns were doing, dropping that asset requirement, because that really doesn't pay the bills for a senior. If pretty much anyone that's in, like, Worcester Regional Retirement would be excluded because their annuity is an
Sure.
asset. And so we said that doesn't really impact as much as the income, but the income was so low and it doesn't move. It stayed at that 2001 level you set.
Yeah.
So we said other places are using the HUD that changes every
Yes.
year. So we thought that made more sense. And that the amount allowed by law was 1,500. We said that seems more suitable to tax amounts that are today than what they were in 2001.
Sure.
And we thought this is a great win-win for everybody, because we get help in, more hours. Seniors get a break with their taxes and would help out everyone. And then we kind of went into the ideas of having a job fair for seniors, that we
Okay.
could bring in the
Like that.
assessors and have the assessors explain exemptions that are available.
Yep.
And helping them with
Right.
paperwork. and
Help with,
everything.
be right there to help with all
Package, the whole
the paperwork.
package.
Right, well, when I was looking at this, it certainly seems to me that $1,500 is far more incentive, if you will, than $500. $500 is nice, don't get me wrong, but if you could get a $1,500 abatement off your property taxes, that's gonna make a huge difference in your budget, you know? I think it's a great idea, I appreciate you using the HUD guidelines. Working in housing myself, I do see them change every year, so it makes sense to do it that way.
Sure.
Any other comments from the
No,
board?
through the chair.
Mr. McGrath?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the changes in the policy and in the amounts per the recommendation of the department heads and the council on aging.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Chairman, the only thing I'd say is, Elaine, let's bring this back every couple of years to see if that $1,500 abatement still makes sense, meaning depending upon how taxes go, we may want to consider bumping that up eventually as well. I mean, or we may not, so let's just put like a tickler in the file, so,
I
every couple of
think-
years, come on in.
I do believe that 1,500 is the max that,
Oh, is it
The
really?
state does
The
come
state,
change it every
yeah.
so often, so
really?
maybe when they update it,
You know
we'll
what?
come before you.
Yeah, through the chair, if that's okay with the
Sure.
board, anytime that you guys hear about the change,
Okay.
bring it to us, because I think it only
Great.
makes sense to stay consistent.
Just one more question, when were you planning on doing the job fair, if this goes through?
well,
Just to let
we
people know?
wanted to do it in October, but
Okay,
I'm not sure this year if we're going to even get to it. we're gonna talk about it again. and
We'll
see
meet
if
again, but
can
we
get-
wanted to get this set
We
first.
need to get it going because they have to finish their hours by the end of November, and then it
Okay.
starts again in January. So now we have to get applications out there, we have
Uh-huh.
to get the new policy out there, if that's what you guys are going to
Yeah.
be.
So our target would be to start for January
Right.
for that cycle.
Okay,
Right.
that's what I wanted the people to
And it
know.
would be on the
Yeah.
fiscal 2021 tax bill,
Okay.
not
Right.
the one we're working on now.
So they work for the year and it comes off the tax bill in
The following
February.
year.
Right.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
that's a good system. So
Excellent.
January start date. Thank you.
Works for me.
Vote.
Anything else? No? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Thanks, everybody,
Thank
for doing
you
that.
very
Thanks
much.
for all your work.
Appreciate it.
That's an excellent update. That's good.
We are 10 minutes early.
I think we're doing well.
Is everyone here who's coming from Treehouse, or we can come back to that?
'Cause it's-
We can go to chapter 61.
Yeah, do it, Chapter
Yeah, we'll do that one.
61.
Yeah.
Yeah, page
So
50.
Let's bump ahead to our 7 o'clock. Oh, no. Let's go to winter wash sand bid, in case anyone's coming for the 7, too.
Yeah, you want to do the same bit?
Yep.
74?
Page 74.
Wow.
For those at home, we only have 110 pages tonight.
Think of the trees we saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so we'll jump ahead to item number 1, under new business, winter wash sand bid. Winter wash sand bids were opened on October 8th, 2019, and reviewed by DPW Superintendent Jerry Foskett. There was only one bid received. After review of the bid, DPW Superintendent Foskett is not recommending the bid be awarded at this time. Winter wash sand will need to be rebid at a later date. So I assume then there is no action to be taken by the board.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Ms.
Do
Noble?
we know how this is going to affect our ability to maintain the roads this winter? Is this for this winter or not?
Through the chair.
Yes.
He's been using more salt than sand,
Okay.
so he's, that could be affecting who's wanting the bid.
The calcium?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Would you make a motion to agree with Mr. Foskett, because he will be going out to rebid?
So moved.
Not sure when.
So a motion to agree, or basically a motion to approve going out to rebid, or,
Yeah.
Not to award it at this time, but to rebid.
okay.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to not award and to rebid. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. And I think we're still a little bit ahead.
You want to do Carol's?
Yeah, let's go to number 2. Hang on. Okay, number 2, disclosure by municipal employee Carol Barron. Attached is a disclosure form being filed by Carol Barron, who is the treasurer for the Southern Worcester County Regional Vocational School District as an employee. The Dudley Charlton Regional School District, through competitive bidding, awarded the treasurer contract to Ms. Barron. This disclosure form is required to be approved by the Board of Selectmen. I would recommend the board approve the disclosure form. It will be filed as required with the office and the town clerk.
So moved, and once again, I appreciate people doing things the right way.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. We still have some time. Let's jump ahead to number 3, meals tax and food trucks. Selectman Borowski asked for this item to be on the agenda. For information, acceptance of MGL 64L local option meals excise was approved at the special town meeting on October 19th, 2010. The meals tax is collected by the state, which we receive. Food trucks have to log in daily and enter their sales and remit meals tax online. They should be listing the town, city they collected the majority of their sales from that day. We collect about $6,500 annually from inspections. To make that much on a meals tax, they would need to be grossing over $860,000 annually. Food trucks have to be licensed by the Board of Health. And I think that's the only other note in here. That's it. All right. Mr. Borowski?
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for that. And I want to thank, without naming the residents, lest I embarrass him, for actually asking me this question around, basically, we all know food trucks come into town. from time to time, whether it be an event or, up a treehouse or something like that. And he simply asked me well, should they be paying the 0.75 meals tax? And I honestly didn't know. So I called DOR, and they said, yeah, they absolutely should. So come to find out, with Donna's help and others, we basically scanned down through everyone who has been paying the meals tax, and none of the usual suspects of trucks are listed there. And I was recently up at an event and actually asked a very nice question of, how do you handle your meals tax? They go, well, we do it, online via DOR, and we don't know where it goes because they put it in through DOR, and DOR is supposed to give us the money. Well, come to find out, to the best of my knowledge, we're not getting the money. So it's probably a very small amount, but the reality is, if it's being sold in town, we should be, based upon our vote, we should be getting that money, as opposed to the food truck's hometown, which is where I'm guessing it's going. So they're getting the benefits, whereas we should in fact be getting said benefit. So what I'd like to do is, I don't know if it's brainstorm with the Board of Health, or Donna, maybe you can come up with something that anytime, or maybe some of our local businesses, we can just send a reminder letter that they can send out to people, that anytime that there's a food truck in town, that they're supposed to be paying the applicable sales tax to the town of Charlton, that they better be paying the applicable sales tax to the town of Charlton, or I may have to recommend at some point that we actually develop a distinct policy around licensing guidelines and everything else to make certain that we review that, yes, that you have been paying and that you are going to pay. I don't want to be that much of an overseer because it's such a small amount of money, but if residents are missing out on tax revenue, that's a problem for me.
So if I could, one possible cause for that, if I read everything correctly, is that the food trucks only have to pay the meals tax to the town in which they sold the most that day. So if a food truck hits Worcester and does $2,000 in sales, and then comes to Charlton that night and does $500 in sales, they're not obligated by state rules to pay us a penny, because the meals tax of the day goes to the town where they sold the most, which I don't agree with. I agree with you. And I think to one step further, I found out that if you're an out-of-state food truck, you're not required to pay the meals tax at all. So I think that gives them an unfair competitive advantage, because now you have a food vendor selling food potentially in Charlton, who doesn't have to pay a meals tax when other food vendors in Charlton do. So I think that's something that we need to include in what gets looked into. Charlton getting the meals tax from those who sell meals in Charlton, and to either find a way to ensure that out-of-state food trucks pay the meals tax, or simply have to request any events or participants in town who bring in the food trucks, try to stick to Massachusetts-based food trucks to keep it a level playing field.
So through the chair and my colleagues, what I'd like to recommend is that, whether it's a formal motion or not, is that we ask the chief and Donna, if she has some time, to just kind of brainstorm some ideas to say, how can we ensure that we are in fact getting that money? And maybe it is just a little reminder out to businesses and/or inspections that, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
You need a motion on that, Bill?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to make it too formal.
No.
But,
No, I agree.
unless
I agree
anyone
with
has
you.
objections. Again, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're getting the revenue, but I don't want to be overbearing about it.
So I agree with you. I also think that it needs to be a level playing field with the brick and mortar restaurants and food service people that we have in town.
Absolutely.
I don't think that that's, we're being unreasonable here, and I think that not only that, the taxpayers deserve the revenue.
So my question is, how is it enforced? How do we enforce this?
So I think what again, I'm brainstorming here. What we could do is, once we make a formal announcement to everybody, we could look at the sheet. Don, it comes quarterly, or?
We get the meals tax, I believe, monthly.
Is it
but
monthly?
It doesn't give us a lot of detail
Right.
of who paid what.
Yeah.
I think we're going to need to do a little investigation, and based upon whatever permits that we know have been issued in town, or either we just know who's been in town, literally look for those names.
Yeah.
And if in fact we find out, I mean, again, this is all brainstorming.
Yep.
We could just have a brief discussion with said owners of this food truck, say, so how did this work? And then maybe we need to talk with DOR or others.
Yeah, I would
But I
just-
see Jim's in the audience, maybe he can help us. Hey, Jim, can you come up? Through a chair, sorry.
Yeah, I'm curious, if they're sending in their payments to DOR, is there a way for DOR to be a pass-through
Right.
to the town
Well,
of
that
Charlton.
is-
Which is what's supposed to be happening.
They are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are a pass-through, they're giving us our .75.
Right, Jim would be
Right.
the permitting, Donna
Yeah.
would be the revenue. And
So through a chair, Jim, I'm not sure how much you heard. Basically, long story short, from what we can tell, we're not getting the food truck tax revenue. And we're trying to find a way to have people reminded that if they're selling food in town, that, as John mentioned, to make it a fair playing field, they're supposed to be paying that to us. So how can we remind those folks?
Well, I understand, I've been looking into this, we have over 150 different food trucks, primarily because of a Treehouse Brewery taking in over $6,300 in fees alone just for the inspections of the truck, which is quite significant, seeing normal years it's maybe 400 or 500. So, and they are responsible for signing up if they're in that community. If they're from Connecticut or another state, it would be where they've sold the most that they would have to, but they have to sign on that day. I know Treehouse does it, and I just spoke to some of the restaurants. They pay $4,000 or $5,000 in local meals tax.
So is it only the out-of-state has to pay the tax revenue to the town they sold the most, or is it also in-state only pays tax revenue to the town they sold the most?
Out of state,
So in-state has to pay to every town they sell in?
yes.
Okay, cool, that's a good clarification.
And by the way, this really has nothing to do with Treehouse. Just,
Oh,
I want
yeah,
to make sure
I know.
everybody's clear on that.
No, it's just that we wouldn't have that amount of revenue if it wasn't for Treehouse that allows them to go there, and I think they do have good food trucks, I inspect them, and they're all the time. I think they know that there's a local food tax, some of them, but there's also cash business, so it's very difficult to, ascertain where they are and what they're gonna pay.
Mr. McGrath?
Nobody has wrath like the DOI on food tax, as we all as we know. They will padlock,
Yes,
and
they
they will
will.
tow. They will do whatever they have to do. So it behooves everybody, however we do get this message out. If they're selling food in town, okay, they need to pay tax to the town. They need to collect their meals tax. And if we think that somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we'll ask for, I'm assured that we can ask for an audit.
Yeah.
And they do not want that.
Yeah, I will remind, but I didn't realize, I do all the inspections, part of my job is not to worry about the tax end of it, but certainly the fees. But I think when someone applies for a permit in town, I think there be some kind of rules that should be given to them, that you make sure you do the following. There should be like do you know that we have a local meals tax in Charlton? So if you're gonna apply, that we could give from every department, that would assist them, that that if you're in Charlton that day, and we give you a food permit, which I give the permit and do the inspection, that they need to sign up to make sure, because we'll be checking on it. But some of them just don't know, I believe, because not
Food
every
share.
town has that.
Yeah, if we could do that, I think that would immensely help. So, Jim or Donna, can you help craft something, if it's okay with the
Yeah.
board?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
informational
Yeah.
purposes,
Just
so they don't
informational, yeah.
Jim,
forget.
thank you for that.
Sure.
Again, it's probably short money, but it has to be fair to
It's money.
everyone, yeah.
Yeah,
Level playing field.
And as I said before, the brick and mortar places, they're easier to scrutinize, I guess. And,
Yeah, they're not mobile.
I think that, we need to, not only us, but DOI needs to get a handle on the mobiles. They
Yeah.
used to have it on the catering trucks, the lunch
Yeah.
trucks.
right.
They had a real good handle on what was going on.
So I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure that they are aware that they have to sign up and pay.
And we appreciate that, Jim. I
Thank
think
you,
it's
we appreciate
important
it.
for the residents and all of our businesses get a level playing field.
Because now
Sure.
we're watching.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Donna.
Thanks, Donna.
And again, thank you to the board for your indulgence on that.
All right, let's bump back now to page 33, our 7 o'clock appointment, public hearing for Treehouse Brewing, request for alteration of premise. Attached is a request, it's like reading both parts, you know?
Do you want me to read
Attached attached is a request from Treehouse Brewing Company, Inc., for an alteration of premises for 129 Sturbridge Road. They're seeking to add 17,601 square feet of interior public space and 43,251 square feet exterior green space. All necessary paperwork has been completed. It was forwarded to the police, fire, and building departments for review. Building Commissioner Meskis had concerns regarding the amount of exterior space, but after reviewing the area, his concerns had been met. Police and fire had no concerns. The chairman should open the public hearing by reading the notice as placed in the paper and sent to the abutters. Should the board approve the request, We will send the completed application with the board's approval to the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission for final approval. Notice of public hearing. The Charlton Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019 at 7 p.m. to act on a request for alteration of premises submitted by Treehouse Brewing Company, Inc., 129 Sturbridge Road, Charlton, Mass., to add 17,601 square feet of interior public space and 43,251 square feet exterior green space. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and date specified or submit concerns in writing. And we will declare this hearing open at 7:05 p.m.
Through the chair.
Mr. McGrath.
I would just like to say that I'm very happy to see that they're expanding. I'm happy that they came to Charlton over numerous other towns that they had a chance to come to. They've proven to be a very good neighbor. They've done a lot of different things in the community, and they've worked with many different groups. And they're doing everything, dotting their i's and crossing their t's, and I'm just extremely happy to see them forward with this.
Well, thank you. Any other comments?
Through the chair.
Ms. Noble?
I'm looking at the schematics, and I see here sunset overlook. And I see another section adjacent to it called games. Are these new areas?
They are not new areas, no.
Okay.
Kim Galinsky, Treehouse Brewing Company.
So are these the areas that, if you're walking out, you go up the hill a bit and that's where
Yeah,
everything is?
that's exactly correct. Yep,
Okay.
right at the handicap parking area,
Yep.
there's one little tiny exposed piece of ledge, and really there's a tiny strip of grass up there.
Yep, that's
That
what
we
I'm,
have
okay.
the bean toss games
Yes.
on, and some life-size Jenga.
So, where are you actually expanding outside?
We're actually not expanding, we're just kind of covering our bases as the
Okay.
places that people have already been enjoying a pint. This
Okay.
is just making sure that we have everything covered.
So you're not taking down any more trees or
No.
going into the wetlands or anything? Okay. And I noticed on the interior, they're doing a lot of building.
Sure, that was part of the interior build that we just got okayed for. That was the 16,000 square foot addition.
Yep.
Again, that was kind of already licensed as outdoor green space, but now it's indoor space, so we have to just go through this process again. So square footage wise, not much has changed.
And what
We
will that
just-
space be used for?
It's a retail space, so that's where people buy cans, and that's also where they enjoy a pint.
Okay.
Yep.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Of course not, David. Okay, so yeah, for me, I just wondered if, you were gonna be going out more, but it doesn't appear that you're
We are
doing
not.
that.
Nope. The footprint that is there is existing.
Okay, thank you. Will you be hiring additional staff, or?
Yeah, that was one of Curtis's concerns,
Yeah.
and just to put, I know we satisfied Curtis' curiosity on that one, but all of our parking attendants are always on duty every single hour that we are open for pouring pints. They are all tip certified, and they keep track of everything that happens out in that parking lot. Above and beyond that, we also hired another private security company.
That's what I want to know, with
Yeah, it's
the giant parking lots that you have there now, when people are going up on the hill to park.
Yeah, so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We've hired this private company to come in.
Okay,
I could spell their name for you. It's Lusignan,
Lusignan,
okay?
okay.
only because I know the family.
Thank you.
So
They're
it's
from Spencer, I
Yeah,
believe,
Spencer Lester, nice.
Thursday through
through Sunday.
Sunday, okay. And what hours will the security staff be there?
Every hour that we're open for pours. So typically from noon to 8.
Okay,
Some days, as you know, are busy enough for us not to be able to open for pours, so it's simply a, can in, can out kind of thing, so,
so you only have security when you have pours?
correct. That's the only time they're drinking on premises.
Okay,
Our parking attendants are there constantly.
I understand that. Because it's just that there has been an issue with parking, and there's been an issue with traffic, and I know with the holidays coming up and the days getting shorter, it's a concern for me.
Sure. we're willing and able to hire that security company for as many hours as needed.
Okay.
If we feel as though they're needed more, then we'll add.
So what,
Okay.
and out of curiosity, so if you have the parking attendants, what will the role of the security be?
Just backup. Just
For-
extra security for people drinking where they're not supposed to be drinking, and making sure that everything happens properly in the parking area.
Okay, so just a caution. Security do not have the legal authority of a police officer, so they can't check someone for sobriety, they can't even check if you're drinking in your car. You'd be opening yourself up to a big liability if a security officer wanted to see what someone was doing in their car. There are serious limits to what they can and cannot do.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they probably know their restrictions on what they can do and what they can't do. We're hoping, we hired a professional company, and we're gonna bank on their judgment.
Mr. McGrath?
I would hope that, as he's saying, that the security company knows their limits, number one. And I think if they do see somebody that's doing something that they shouldn't be, they notify the police department, and the chief would let us know if it's becoming an issue.
Through the chair.
Ms. Noble?
The one thing I would ask you to consider is that if you feel you're gonna have a weekend when it's gonna be particularly busy, to plan in advance and talk to the Charlton PD, just in case you might need a detail there.
Of course. Yeah, this
Just to be
doesn't by
a bit-
any
no,
stretch
no, no.
replace any of the details that we've ever done or going
Right.
forward.
No, I'm just thinking about being proactive about
Sure.
it, instead of, the security guard calling up and going, hey, I got a problem here. If we already had a police officer there, instead of having to pull them off, of 911 call or something,
Sure, noted.
Yeah, through a chair.
But no, I
sorry.
firmly believe that Treehouse is a wonderful neighbor
Thank you for the kind words.
and a
Thank
great
you.
part of the community, and so grateful you're here.
Awesome.
And I want to see things go smoothly. That's why I
Sure.
want to be proactive about
Yeah,
this.
no, we have a busy holiday season coming up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
I'll
do
be
it.
there, I'm sure.
Awesome.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
No, nothing that has been said. Like I said, truly, I'm sorry, but you guys have been great, as Select Person Noble said, you guys have been fantastic about everything. I think it's just a matter of, we just want to make sure that great partnership continues.
Of course.
So anytime, to Deb's point, that there's an event, let's just work something out so that, Chief Maxfield and his team either has a physical presence there, awareness, et cetera. But beyond that, like I said, thank you for your continued expansion and doing your business here.
Awesome. We
Sure,
appreciate
sure.
it.
Mr. Whitwell?
Make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. The hearing is closed at 7:12 PM.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for
Appreciate it.
coming in.
I
Mr.
make a
McGrath?
motion to add 17,601 square feet of interior public space and 43,251 square feet exterior green space as the alteration of their premises for their license.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good night.
You
Good luck.
too.
Drive safe.
So we will now, actually,
right on
are we on time? We're right on time.
Yep.
This is a first.
I know. 7:15 PM, Chapter 61 release, Lot 2, Stafford Street, hang on. Page 50, I believe. Oh, yeah, page 50.
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Attached is a request from Allison Cairns to remove and sell 1.41 acres of land from Chapter 61A located on Stafford Street, Assessors Map 9-B-5 to Paul and Carol Johnston. The Planning Board, Board of Assessors, Conservation Commission, and Water Sewer Commission have all reviewed the request and have no objection to the town of Charlton choosing not to exercise their right of first refusal for this request. The chairman should open the public hearing by reading the attached public hearing notice. I would recommend the board approve the request. Public hearing notice. Please be advised that the Charlton Board of Selectmen will hold the public hearing on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019, at 7:15 PM at the Charlton Town Hall, 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass. 01507, to act on a request by Allison Cairns to remove and sell 1.41 acres of land from Chapter 61A located on Stafford Street, Assessors Map 9-B-5, to Paul and Carol Johnston. Anyone interested should appear at the date and time specified or submit concerns in writing. And we will declare this hearing open at 7:15 PM. Thanks. Do you want to say your name and
Yes,
address?
I'm Attorney Patrick Flynn. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Carnes.
Thank you.
I'm just here for any
Pat, how
questions you
are
might could. How are you?
Very good.
Any comments or questions from the board?
No, this one is pretty innocuous when all said and done.
Yep.
So unless the board has any questions or concerns, I'll, or anyone in the audience, a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. The hearing is now closed, also at 7:15 PM. That was a very fast hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we choose not to exercise our right of first refusal for the property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Well done,
Saying
Kathy.
the easiest hearing you've
Painless.
ever
That was
been
pretty,
to.
Charge,
that one goes on record right there.
charge your client by the hour, don't forget.
But there's a minimum.
Yes, there is.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
See you, Pat.
Pat, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So let's jump ahead then to page 80, page 81. Nope, keep
84, right?
going. Page 84. Special alcoholic beverage license request, Rebecca Prescott Wedding. Attached is a request for a special alcoholic beverage license from Rebecca Prescott for a wedding to be held on Saturday, November 9th, 2019, from 3 PM to 10:30 PM at Camp Joslin, 150 Richardson Corner Road, Charlton, Mass. The Police Department, Fire Department, and Building Commissioner have all approved the request. Per the board's policy, the license, if approved, should be issued for 2 additional days, which is to allow delivery the day before the event and for pickup the day after the event with no sales allowed on those days. I would recommend the board approve the special license as requested, with the dates on the license to be November 8th, 2019 through November 10th, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations to the happy couple, and I would make a motion that the board approve the special license as requested with the dates on the license to be November 8th through November 10th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
You know, we never get invited to weddings, you ever notice that?
That's too bad.
That's what I was gonna say.
Are we gonna do trick or treat now?
I'm thinking.
We'll go, oh, he's asked, so we'll, one item under old business, which we've already addressed, but Mr. Borowski, do you want to discuss it again? That's
Wait,
okay.
wait. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, all right, we're good to go now.
Drew, can you get a close-up on Select Person's Noble's hearings,
Under
please?
hearings? Yeah, there you go. See how close we can get.
Just have to be festive, that's all. My favorite holiday.
Well done.
There you go.
Well
All right,
played, well played.
all right.
Can we drink Guinness on St. Patrick's Day?
Absolutely.
At the, yeah.
Okay. I'll
At the
turn
board's
them off now.
At the board's October 1st, 2019 special meeting, you voted to have trick or treat on October 31st, 2019, from 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM, with a caveat: if the Board of Health Director and the Police Chief believe there hasn't been a hard frost, that we make other arrangements due to EEE. As of October 16th, 2019, the risk continues until the first hard frost. I'm going to finish that, but with trick-or-treating 1 week away, does the board want to discuss different options, such as wait until October 29th or 30th, if the ban isn't lifted, change the date and time of trick-or-treating to Saturday, November 2nd, 2019, from 2 to 4 p.m. Code Red could be used to notify all residents of the change due to EEE. The other option would be to cancel trick-or-treating, but keep in mind that children look forward to this time of year, and some grown-ups. That is actually written here. So I will point out that our health inspector, Jim Philbrook, has lifted the EEE threat, so there is no requirement of the board to postpone Halloween. Mr. Borowski.
The only thing I would caution is that we have not had a hard frost yet.
No.
And the reality is, we all know there's been some unfortunate incident with a resident in town. And I'm not trying to be a killjoy here, but I'm remarkably uncomfortable in saying that we should continue with 5:30 to 7:30, knowing that the circumstances that currently still exist in the town of Charlton. There's a strange definition around what's a soft frost versus a hard frost, et cetera. A general recognition is that for at least one night, potentially more, there has to be 4 hours or more of sub-28-degree weather, and that will basically kill off all the mosquitoes. That has not happened once. And one of the conditions of this, to make sure that it continued from 5:30 to 7:30, was that we were going to get a hard frost. And the reality is that has not happened. I don't want to be, that guy, but I'm very hesitant to say, as so-called leaders of the town, that I'm willing to sign off to say, well, even though we haven't had a hard frost, and other sports teams and really every other event has been canceled post 5:30 up until the Board of Health now saying that, that they're willing to lift that ban for certain town events, and the schools are going to make their own decisions, that we should continue with a 5:30 to 7:30. I just don't think it's prudent. I may be in the minority, but I'm being overly cautious on this. We're all parents, and except for Anya, thankfully. And I want the kids to have a good time. I want them to have fun. I don't want it canceled. But I'm very hesitant to put my name on a piece of paper that says, yeah, you know what, I'm okay from 5:30 to 7:30 at night. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Mr. McGrath?
And I understand Bill's concerns, and, I have grandchildren also. But I think I would go with what the Board of Health, who is our governing body on this in town, number one. Number two, if the parents feel uncomfortable with it, they can make that decision and, and do it. But I understand your concerns, Bill, absolutely. It's been cold, but not that cold.
Right, and I'm going to agree with Mr. McGrath and point out, as a parent myself, I would suggest to parents out there who want to trick or treat with their kids, the same thing I do with my own kids, not only for Triple E, but West Nile and everything else. I've told my kids, if you're going out in the evening, we have mosquito spray. We have cans of it in the kitchen, in the garage, in the basement. Grab a can, spray your hands, arms, neck, whatever is exposed, and just take your, common sense precautions.
Bathe in it. I'm serious, take a bath in it, I don't even care. Please be careful.
There is one more option, Mr. Chair. There have been a lot of the trunk or treat activities going on in the different towns. So if families are uncomfortable taking their children out in the evening, they can certainly go to these trunk or treat events that take place during the daytime. I know here at the town hall, the preschoolers will be coming over here on October 31st during the day. Mary and I will be getting dressed up as always.
That's nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if you're not comfortable sending your children out on Halloween in the evening, certainly consider one of these other daytime events.
Through the chair, has anyone looked if between now and Halloween there will be a hard frost occurring, or
Yes, we
there's
did.
plans?
Through the chair, oddly, I have. And
You did, of course.
next Thursday evening, it'll, at least according to, your little iPod app that I use all the time, it'll drop down to 31, but that will be the coldest night. And I don't even know if that means Thursday AM or Friday AM, if that makes sense. So nothing that's approaching that necessary, or at least assumed necessary requirement to kill everything off.
Do we need a motion?
The only thing you need a motion, second, and vote for, I believe, is if you wanted to cancel or change. Right now, Halloween is already set for 5:30 to 7:30 on that date, so you only need a motion, a second, and a vote if you wanted to change or cancel.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not gonna make the motion because I don't think anyone's gonna agree with me, but I don't believe it should be that time, but I'm not gonna make a big thing out of it.
Well, I appreciate.
No, I get it. No,
I
like I said, no,
appreciate you
yeah.
bringing it
Yeah.
up, Bill. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
So I think we're good.
yeah, I concur, and like you, and I appreciate your concern for the kids. Most of us, of course, Anya accepted, have kids, so we all share that concern. But, like Mr. McGrath, well, there's a reason we have a Board of Health and health inspectors, and I'm going to go with their recommendations and hopefully just encourage people to use common sense and a little mosquito spray.
A lot of mosquitoes.
And through the chair, certainly if anything changes between now and then,
We will make an,
We
if
will
we,
make an
if there is
announcement
any
and we go on.
change, the announcements will be on the website, code red.
Yeah.
We'll make sure people are aware.
Okay.
Mary?
Would it be helpful to read the email from the Board of Health so people out there know what they're recommending?
You want me to? So happens, we don't bring in glasses. This is from Director Philbrook. Hi, Mary. After consultation with the Chairman of the Board of Health, Matt Gagner, we have concluded that the 5:30 PM time restriction of outdoor activities to protect the residents from mosquitoes will be lifted. Although we will still encourage the steps for protection from mosquitoes, which includes clothing and mosquito repellent. Oh, sorry, that was terrible phrasing. We recommend that if you still feel that you may be at risk, that you should use the 5:30 PM restriction for outdoor activities as the ultimate precaution against mosquitoes. The MDPH has determined that we have not had as what would be defined as a hard frost at this time. We have had some very cold nights and very few mosquitoes have been noticed. We will leave the school decision to superintendents at Bay Path and Dudley Charlton Regional School District to lift any time ban to their discretion. So, through a chair, said another way, it's up to the superintendents to see what they want to do around, Friday night football or soccer or whatever it may be. Obviously, it's up to the parents to make the final decision regardless. But it sounds like town activities that that the Board of Health is saying that things can be opened back up after 5:30.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Borowski, especially since it's hard to pinch and zoom a piece of paper. That said, we will, are there any BOS committee or policy reports or policy reviews today?
Through the chair.
Ms. Noble?
Prior to this meeting, I was at the Marijuana Advisory Committee meeting. We adopted the minutes from our August 27th meeting and our September 24th meeting, and those will be up on the website shortly. So I know people are very interested in that. We had Drew at the meeting tonight, and he did film it.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, through the chair.
Mr. Borowski?
Selectperson Noble, have you heard anything more about GGG opening?
We were discussing that this evening,
Okay.
and last week, the staff was in the store getting trained on the point of sale
Oh, excellent.
procedures. We will be sending Mr. McMahon, Attorney McMahon from Green Gold Group, a letter tomorrow asking him for a definitive date.
Oh, excellent.
We need a date on when they're gonna open. Everybody wants to know, we wanna know when our townspeople can be employed full-time.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Any other committee or reports or policy reviews? All right, none there. We'll move on to the student select persons report. Anya?
Hello. All right, this can be very brief. Today was the Nichols College Day decision where seniors can on the spot early commit, and the QVCC decision day will be November 4th. On October 21st, the Shepherd Hill Biomedical Pathway students attended the Project Lead the Way PLTW conference at WPI. And last month, the Dudley Charlton Regional School District family should have received an email from Superintendent Lamarche. If you didn't, you can access the form that he sent out from the Dudley Charlton Education Foundation Facebook page and on their website. He sent out a survey, and he wants to hear opinions from parents, students, and faculty regarding their goals for his term as superintendent.
Cool.
Awesome.
good.
Thank you, Anya.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the interim town administrator's report, 2020 license renewals. It's that time of year when licenses issued by the Board of Selectmen have to be renewed. Renewal applications are in process of being mailed, and a list of all license holders that renew will be provided to the board at one of your meetings in December for final approval. There are 2 liquor license holders that have not been using their licenses since May or June of this year. In talking with the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, the ABCC, letters were sent certified to those establishments, inviting them to your next meeting on November 5th to have a discussion with the board. Sustainable Materials Recovery Program municipal grant. We have been informed by Mass DEP that the town of Charlton has been awarded a Sustainable Materials Recovery Program municipal grant and will receive up to $1,000 for recycling initiatives. Kara Hilaski applies for this grant every year on behalf of the Recycling Committee to purchase recycling items. And I believe that's it. I don't think there is any other business unknown at the time. Oh,
Mr.
maybe.
Chairman, there is something that we're going to discuss that you can't be a part of, so if you want to hang out in the hallway for 2 seconds. and then I'll come get you.
If I want this treatment, I can stay home.
They make you hang out in the
We
hallway
should
at
wait
home,
until
too?
the end of the
Exactly.
meeting.
By the way, as David's,
I know.
Yeah.
by the way, as David's leaving, I actually said, when I made a horrible read of Jim's letter and said that it was bad phrasing. I don't want you to think it was Jim's writing of it. It just, I read it poorly, so I'd feel guilty the rest of the night. You good, David? Thank you, colleagues. Long story short, there has been a clarification.
Pass that down.
Thank you. There's been a clarification issued in the most recent Valley Green Grow decision, and I'm going to turn it over to Select Person Noble to give us an update.
Thank you for the introduction. I wanted to bring this up for informational purposes. I think that the townspeople have been following this case just as closely as all of us have. And last week, the judge did issue an order based on the joint motion for clarification in the site plan appeal case. That's where the site plan was denied by the planning board and was appealed by Valley Green Grow. So it is still a fairly brief order, but not as brief as the previous one. We will have copies of this at the town hall, in the selectman's office. I could certainly read it if that's appropriate.
Yes, Select Person Noble, feel free.
Okay. Order on plaintiff and defendant's joint motion to amend and clarify judgment after the court issued its memorandum and order on August 14, 2019, allowing the plaintiff's motion for partial summary judgment and denied the town of Charlton's planning board's (parentheses, board) motion for summary judgment. The court entered a judgment of remand on September 27th. In the judgment of remand, the court declared the two following items. In accordance with the court's memorandum and order issued August 14, 2019, it is ordered, adjudged, and declared that the decision is annulled. It is further ordered, adjudged, and declared that this action is remanded to the board, in this case meaning the planning board, for proceedings consistent with the court's memorandum and order issued on August 14, 2019. The plaintiff and the board have filed plaintiff's and defendant's joint motion to amend / clarify judgment, also known as the motion to clarify. Defendant intervenor Gerard F. Russell has filed Russell's opposition to the request made by Valley Green Grow LLC and the Charlton Planning Board in their joint motion to alter or clarify the judgment of this court entered on September 27, 2019. Pursuant to Land Court Rule 6, the court decides the motion to clarify without oral argument. In the motion to clarify, the plaintiff and the board posed a series of 5 questions about the judgment of remand. The court answers the question as follows. The judgment of remand is final and appealable. It is similar in scope, effect, and meaning to the judgment at issue in K. Hovnanian, thank you, at Taunton Incorporated versus Planning Board of Taunton, 32 Mass Appeals Court 480, 1992, leaving, and this is in parentheses, no basis for the board to withhold its approval of the plan, end parentheses. For paragraph 2, see paragraph 1 above. For item 3, see paragraph 1 above. Item 4, the judgment of remand is final, and this case is closed. Any appeal of the board's subsequent approval of this site plan shall be appealed pursuant to the Town of Charlton zoning bylaw and General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 17, and entered as a new action. Item 5, the court has not rendered a determination on the plaintiff's request for cost, expenses, and legal fees. The plaintiff should renew its request, upon which the court will set a briefing schedule. By Judge Foster, dated October 16th, 2019. So not having the original motion in front of me for clarification, I don't know what items 2 and 3 were. So I apologize for that. But I did want to make sure that the public knew that this had been entered last week, and we do have a copy of it.
Through, to the chair, the secretary.
Yeah.
I thought it was unusual that we had been seeing emails on this and nothing has hit any of the social media or the newspaper about this. So I commend Selectman Noble for bringing this up and just trying to keep everybody up to date on what's going on.
No,
So,
works. The more information, the better.
Just trying to be transparent.
I'm not even gonna go.
I guess
All right, does anyone have anything else before I go get?
No,
get the
again,
chair?
I just wanted to bring this up for informational purposes only, so that the town would know where we were at with this process.
Absolutely. Cool. Make it, David. As the chairperson walks back in, special thanks to Mary and Donna for hanging out with us tonight. David, we are all, Mr. Chairperson, we are all done with other business. We're on item 13 at your convenience.
All right, so our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, November 15th, 2019 at 6.
It's November 5th.
November 5th, 2019 at 6:30 PM.
Mr. Chairperson, colleagues.
Borowski.
I'd like to make a motion to enter an executive session under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, opioid litigation, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and to return to open session if needed, and to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then by roll call vote, Mr. Borowski.
Aye.
Ms. Noble?
Aye.
Mr. McGrath?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are now in executive session. We will come out of executive session to take care of any business, if needed, based upon what happens in executive session, and to adjourn.
And for the record, 7:36. Just saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pretty quick. All right.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.